Okay, we're on to the last video. So I found these at a local craft store and I thought they were kind of fun. It's a do-it-yourself ornament, but it almost looks like a baby food jar, like maybe a little bigger, or like when your dad had workbenches out in the garage. But so I decided to do brownstones in it. I do have like power tools, but to save time, because I'm technically still recovering from surgery, I just bought these at Hobby Lobby and glued them together with Gorilla Glue. And so now I have like 2 brownstones to go in each. I have a mat, I don't care, that gets dirty in the background. And so I'm going to whip these bad boys some color on them pretty quick. I like reddish brick, so I'm gonna go for reddish on this one. I'm definitely partial to red brick. I'm not too worried about it being perfect because it has paint, or it has some glue on it, and I'm going to do some marker on it, and so I'm just basically whipping some color on it. Add a little brown orange to that one, a little brighter. Okay, we have this side. And then the tops and the bottoms. And then these ones just soak in the paint big time. And the other side. And then I do think I want this side maybe a little darker, so do that. Okay, looks good. So let that one dry for a minute. I'm gonna rinse out my brush, and the last one I wanna do more muted. So I'll do some browns. Got this side done. And we'll do the bottom. These metallic watercolors have been fun. Okay, and then we'll let this one dry too. Get the paint on my brush. While those are drying, I'm going to take this paint pen I got, shake it a little bit, and I'm going to do snowflakes or polka dots, whichever you want to call them, along the jar. I will put this glitter on the inside, but I like the snowflake effect too. I found these, like, never seen them before, and I grabbed the last 5 they had, but I thought they would be fun to add a little character. And then work it down. Around again. Who doesn't love polka dots, right? Getting close to the end. I love in the movie Buddy with the elf, or the movie Elf, and the elf's name's Buddy, but he's in Central Park and he's helping out his brother, and he does like a million snowballs at once. But when I was in elementary school and we would throw snowballs, that would have been the ultimate, to have someone be able to make them that fast. Okay, and I think I'll call that one done. And let's do this one real quick. Do the top first. Try to move it out a little bit. There's like a ting of fluff. There we go. Who knows where the fluff came from? Okay. Oops. I'm gonna make that one disappear because it kind of snagged a little bit more than I want. If you didn't have a paint pen, you could just take the back spot of a paintbrush and just do dots with your craft paint. So I have a really bad sweet tooth, but I try not to. And I just created the yummiest hot chocolate this week, where you take sugar-free hot chocolate and you mix it with a scoop of PB Fit protein powder. But it's like drinking a Reese's peanut butter cup. Looks like I missed this area right here. And because it's low sugar and high protein, helps your metabolism too. But I'm pretty happy about that naughty discovery for when my cravings are strong. Okay, so we've got those done. Oh wait, I'm gonna use this again. I just remembered. So these are close to dry. So I am just gonna eyeball some windows and put those on. I want the windows to have a brighter light, so I'm gonna paint them on white first, and then after I'll put some gold over it to make them brighter. There's my first set. Not too worried about them being perfect, it's just a building. Okay, and then we'll go to the side. Probably do 2 windows on the side. Hopefully my paint marker will make it through this project so I don't have to pull out real paints. And then let's do this side. Looks great. See, and that's why I have the ugly mat underneath, because this one I'm a little bit messy. Okay, and I'll let those windows dry. I might want a little bit more on these ones. Okay, good enough. So let's do this one now. I once took and traced dominoes when my oldest, who's 25 now, was a kid. I think he was in kindergarten, but I traced dominoes to make the windows on skyscrapers that I had painted on his bedroom wall. And then I took and painted them white And then I put glow-in-the-dark paint onto the windows so they would get light from his bedroom light, and when he go to sleep his wall would glow for a little bit. And it's funny because he never really like was super excited when it was on his walls, but then when I decided to repaint the room years later, he was like, can't we put the skyscrapers back on the wall? Sometimes you don't know a kid likes something until you decide to move on to something new. Let's see. Okay, and then we'll do 8 more windows on this side. Again, I'm not too worried. It's going in a snow globe. Buildings are supposed to be old to have character on them. I love it. One time I got pulled over from a cop because it was kind of embarrassing. I was admiring like 100-year-old bricks on these buildings, and he thought I was lost and couldn't get to State Street in this city. So then I kind of just played dumb a little bit. I was too embarrassed to tell him that the reason why my driving was distracted is because I was admiring 100-year-old brick. But they just have so much character to them when they're older. And so, put some light on those windows. This is just an alcohol marker. It's cool if you're ever in New England, when you look at the buildings from back in colonial times, they use more of a rectangle that's like flat, and it's skinny one side and then it goes longer the other. But I'm a big fan of old brick. Sometimes things look a little too perfect in my opinion, and I kind of like the individuality. I guess I didn't get the OCD thing, but I once had a oil painting instructor who did little round tacks on a chair for a portrait he did. And he spent literally months just working on those little tiny brass tacks on the leather chair. And I don't know, that's a pretty tedious little project going on. Okay, and then this yellow looked a little bit more orange to me, so I'm gonna put a brighter yellow over it to try to add more light. Yeah, I like that a little bit better. And it will just give it some shading, so it's all good. I'm okay if a little bit of white shows still. I kind of want to give the effect of a window. You know, when you look out the window, it's really perfect because lights are in different locations and light bulbs are different shades these days. I personally love the bright white ones. I know a lot of people like the softer light, but I love bright light. Probably all the projects I do. Okay, and we'll do it on this one. And then let that dry for a minute, work on the other window. Get this one yellow. And then the next thing I'll do is kind of paint the bricks on. So the one I'll do more gray, and the other I'll do probably more, trying to decide, maybe more of a brown. And then we'll do some black outlining. And then this, I guess it probably looks more like an apartment building than it does a brownstone, because I didn't do any doors, but that's okay. Okay, so let those guys dry. And then let's see, a good brown. I bet this one would be pretty good. Let's see how dark it is in comparison. That might be a little bit darker than I was wanting to go, so I might just do it on the edges and then underneath the windows. And then we can do some lines in between. I stayed in a hotel from colonial times, like 1700s, or I guess it would be, yeah, it'd be the 17. And maybe the 18. Really long time ago. And the electrical outlet caught on fire during the night. Then we got trapped in between 4 fire trucks. And luckily the sprinkling system was able to fix it quick enough that they were able to open up later that week, so it wasn't a bad fire. But I never would have thought about the building catching on fire. It was pretty though. It was in a beach town and they had a great pub. I've gone along the Pacific Coast Highway, and so we've started doing the Atlantic Coast, and did a little bit of it as a kid, and I've done Florida and the Gulf of Mexico, but I would love to see how much of the East Coast or the Atlantic Ocean we can see going along the coast. Like up in Washington State, unless you're like in the Olympic Peninsula or around the Sound, a lot of it you can't really get that close to the ocean. And so I'm a little curious how that would be in on the Atlantic coast, because I mean you can go to so many big cities on the East Coast that are short distance apart, when in the Western United States it's more, you rather than go to several states, you're just going to the end of the state you're in 5 hours, you know. I sometimes think California could be 3 different states because it's so long, and I would say the smaller areas just think a lot different than like Los Angeles. So for this one, I'll just do a red marker for the brick, but I wanted to do a little texture on the side. And I could do a fire escape. Put one on the other side. Gotta get out of this tall building. Okay, so then I need a lighter brown, I discovered. Let's see what I have. In the lighter department. I don't know if this one's too light, but I'll try it. That is pretty light, but I like it. So I think I'll stick with that. Kind of give it a brick effect. So exciting, getting close to the end. I'm going away with my husband tonight to celebrate our 27th wedding anniversary. We're just going close because I possibly will start cancer treatment next week. I have an open wound, so they might put it off a little bit. We'll see what happens. Find out on Monday. But so I wanted to go celebrate a little early before they start the treatment. And then I want I don't know if this will be too pink. We'll try. See how that goes. Oh no, that's perfect. These alcohol markers are pretty fun. But it will soak into the wood and just give it a little bit more character. I love it. And then let's do this side. It's turning out a little darker on this side just because the pores of the wood are just sucking in the ink, but that's okay. Go. One side left to go. Okay, and we'll call that good. And then let's add some black highlights. I was in New York City this last year for the Westminster Dog Show, and it's really fun to watch. I like seeing how much people tend to look like their dogs. It kind of cracks me up. And of course, they all think their dog is the best. Other dogs aren't as cute, but it's just fun. Who doesn't love a cute dog, right? So let's square around these ones. Not too worried about it being perfect. It's literally going in a piece of plastic and it's gonna have glitter around it. And so it's like, yeah, it's good, whatever. One year when my daughter was in elementary school, we gave her like a 30 pack of glitter. Oh my goodness, she was so excited. My husband, when he went shopping with me, thought I was losing my mind a little bit. I'm like, trust me, she'll be so excited. And she was. It was like her favorite gift that year. She was into making this like slime stuff. And so she'd add the glitter to it. He mixed like Elmer's glue and I forget all the ingredients. She was the one making it, I wasn't. She was living her best life with that though. It was fun for her. Slime got so big they were actually doing it as activities at birthday parties when my kids were little. Okay, I'll say that one's done. And then let's do around these windows. And then I'm gonna add a little gold and a little white just to kind of add a little bit more character. The more little details, it kind of pops a little bit more. One side left. Okay, and then, so let's add some gold. This one, I think the gold will be the most significant on. My gold marker's kind of drying out. I'll just use the last little bit out of it. Yeah, it's dried out. It's kind of hurting my ears hearing it. So let's see if I This one's kind of close to a gold. Yeah, we'll use this to add a little bit more texture. Okay, and then on this one, we'll add a little. Not so worried about every little spot, just kind of adding a little character. It's kind of like when you're painting a tree trunk. You'll add a little gold in there or a little green just to give it a little pop. Okay, and then a little white at the end. Okay, got that one done. Add a little white to this one. There we go. Can add a little bit of white on top for some snow. Okay, and then we're at the final steps. So I took and cut out a little circle of white to put on there, and then I will take and put some Gorilla Glue in the middle to hold the brownstone. And I'm okay if it bleeds out a little bit. And then we'll let it sit there for a minute. I wouldn't mind putting a little glue on top for when the glitter comes down. So it just needs to sit there for a minute to make sure the apartment buildings stay in place. And then I'm literally just gonna pour my glitter on. Who doesn't love glitter, right? And then this is so much glitter because there's even like a hole in the middle, but it's still just, I mean, a lot of glitter. So then I'll just screw this on and then screw this one on. I mean, you could even paint this like copper if you wanted a different color. I'm gonna just use copper ribbon because that's the color velvet I have left. I know a silver probably would have matched better, or a white, but it's just hanging on the tree. It's no big deal if it doesn't match perfect. Especially when there's a lot of copper on this tree. I'm getting excited to show you guys the end product though. Been working on this tree since October to help get through recovery. I need something for my brain to focus on. Okay, so we got this baby. I just need to do a slip knot up above. Probably should have done these just a little bit longer, but it's okay. It's just there you go. Just need to be able to get it on a branch. And then once it's sat there a little bit, you can shake it a little bit, but I think that looks adorable. And then let's get the red one done. Okay, one close to the base, and do one more slip knot so we can hang it. And then we can, there we go. If you wanted to, you could put some hot glue at the top if you're worried about it getting out. I don't really worry about it that much. I'll honestly just get glitter places. But there we go, our last ornaments for this tree. And I will show you the tree next. Thanks for watching.